Before the world knew the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, or One Direction, there was one group that wrote the playbook for the modern boy band and was almost destroyed by it. Their name? New Kids on the Block. With ballads like Please Don't Go Girl and I'll Be Lovin' You Forever, they became the soundtrack of a generation. They weren't just a band, they were an empire. Their faces were on action figures, notebooks, and pillows where millions of fans laid their dreams. But behind the hysteria and the colorful posters, there was a truth the music industry tried desperately to hide. Manipulation, panic attacks, and a lip-syncing scandal that threatened to bring everything crashing down. One of the members, pressured to hide his sexuality, vanished from the stage altogether. The reason given to fans? A lie, carefully crafted to cover up a much deeper crisis. This is the real story of New Kids on the Block. And if you, like me, are fascinated by the stories of iconic boy bands, there are already videos on this channel about Menudo and Take That. You'll find the link at the end of this video. Now let's go back to the exact moment where it all began. Before the hysteria, the endless lines, the posters plastered on teenagers' bedroom walls, there was just an idea, and one man determined to make it happen. Maurice Starr, born in Florida, had already experienced some success as a funk singer and producer in the 1970s, but it was behind the scenes of the music industry that he truly found his path. In 1982, he created the group New Edition, inspired by the Jackson 5. When his relationship with the group soured amid legal disputes, Maurice decided to try something similar, only this time with white boys. His belief was straightforward. If New Edition had been white, they would have been 20 times bigger. In 1984, he walked through the neighborhoods of Boston, looking for teenagers with charisma, stage presence, and a connection to black culture. Boys who had grown up listening to soul, rap, and R&B. The first to be discovered was Donnie Wahlberg, a 15-year-old with a natural talent for dancing and rapping, the embodiment of the attitude Maurice was after. Donnie brought in his best friend, Danny Wood, a high school athlete with a dedication to music that balanced Donnie's energy. Soon after, the group's harmony arrived with the brothers Jonathan and Jordan Knight, who attended the same church and brought with them choir experience and a refined musical sensibility. The original lineup also included Donnie's brother, Mark Wahlberg, who was more interested in the emerging hip-hop culture and showed reluctance to being seen as part of a boy band, which he considered inauthentic. Another friend of Donnie, Jamie Kelly, was also part of the early formation, but left the project when his parents forbade him from pursuing a music career. The search for a new member began again, but this time for a very specific piece: a sweet voice, a charismatic look, and the star quality of a true teen idol. And the 12-year-old Joey McIntyre had all of that. The ninth child of a Catholic family, coming from a parochial school, and with experience in Boston's children's theater, he was the only one who hadn't been part of the original crew. At first, adapting wasn't easy, but his talent quickly rose to the surface. Initially called Nyuk, the boys soon entered a rigorous routine of rehearsals, recordings, and local performances. Maurice's ambition went far beyond simply launching another pop group. His plan was bold: to take the successful model of the Osmonds, an impeccable white singing family from the 1970s, and inject the one element he believed they lacked: soul. He was looking for boys who were, in his own words, white on the outside, but with black spirit and musicality. Maurice knew the group's credibility had to be earned in the toughest arena. That's why he booked them to perform at festivals and clubs, where the audience was predominantly black. He believed that white audiences wouldn't be critical enough, but black audiences, owners of the culture that inspired the group, wouldn't tolerate a poor imitation, and they didn't. The first reception was a trial by fire, booed and even targeted by objects thrown from the audience. The boys felt the weight of distrust firsthand. The situation escalated to the point where security had to pull them off the stage for their own safety. It was the ultimate test of their resolve, and even in the face of rejection, they didn't give up. Bound by effort and the challenges they had faced, the boys were ready to take the next step. In 1984, they signed with Columbia Records, and that was the moment they left the name NYUK behind and adopted the name that would change everything: New Kids on the Block. But the world still wasn't ready for the pop storm that was about to hit. The first album, released in 1986, was a flop. The sound was considered bubblegum pop, and the marketing aimed at black radio stations simply didn't work. It was hard for that group of white boys from Boston to find space in a music scene dominated by black artists. The turning point came with their second album, Hangin' Tough, released in 1988. At first, it seemed destined to repeat the failure of the previous one. But when the video for Please Don't Go Girl started gaining traction on TV and radio, the magic happened. The single slowly climbed the charts, becoming the group's first top 10 hit on Billboard. From the same album came You Got It, The Right Stuff, I'll Be Loving You Forever, and Cover Girl, songs that spoke directly to their target audience, teenage girls. Tracks about romance, passion, and idealization that became massive hits. Hangin' Tough achieved huge success, sold over 15 million copies, and earned the group 2 American Music Awards and a Grammy nomination. Their success went beyond just being a teen band. They became a cultural phenomenon. Comparisons to the Beatles began to surface. Their tours sold out within minutes. Stores sold everything from action figures to pillows with the members' faces on them. It's estimated that the band generated over $1 billion in merchandise revenue. In 1991, Forbes listed them as the highest-paid entertainers, ahead of Michael Jackson and Madonna. But with success came a phenomenon they weren't prepared for: hysteria. The devotion of the fans was so intense, it manifested in deafening screams and relentless chases. The most iconic case of this frenzy was during the tour with the singer Tiffany. Initially, she was the star of the tour. New Kids were just the opening act, but the audience's reaction was so overwhelming that the opening act began to overshadow the headliner. Tension peaked when news broke about a romance between Tiffany and Jonathan Knight. That was the spark that turned fan adoration into hostility. Tiffany began to get booed, insulted, and harassed during her own shows. The situation became unsustainable, and the lineup was officially reversed. The weight of that sudden fame was crushing, something Donnie Wahlberg expressed with surprising honesty. "They're comparing us to the Beatles," he said, "but we're just a boy band." The impact was real. For many teenagers, NKOTB was more than just a band. It was an identity, a symbol of youth, freedom, and fantasy. It wasn't just about the songs, but about what they represented. And that emotional connection shaped an entire generation. Their third album, Step by Step, released in 1990, kept the group at the top. The title track became an anthem, topping the charts and proving they weren't just a passing craze. Hey girl, in your eyes. They were the first boy band to reach that level of global success. They paved the way for everyone who came after, like Take That, Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC. By the way, if you're into boy bands and haven't watched the video on the story of Take That here on the channel, it's definitely worth checking out. I'll leave the link in the card or on the final screen. It's an emotional and twist-filled journey, just like this one. But back to the New Kids. They weren't just pretty faces in magazines. Jordan with his soaring falsetto, Donnie the charismatic rebel, Joey with his sweet baby of the group charm, Jonathan introspective and sensitive, and Danny the most down-to-earth. Each one of them had a dedicated legion of fans. Between 1988 and 1991, the world was theirs. But not everything was screaming fans, posters, and packed arenas. Behind the stage lights, the New Kids on the Block faced a series of controversies that slowly began to threaten the group's credibility and balance. And that's what we're about to explore next.
We guarantee you there is no lip syncing in our show.
In 1992, at the height of their fame, a bombshell accusation dropped. The boys were allegedly lip-syncing during their shows. According to the Los Angeles Times, The rumor gained traction when Gregory McPherson, a former member of the technical crew, told the press that the group used pre-recorded tracks during live performances. But the accusation went even further. According to McPherson, the actual voices on the studio recordings didn't even belong to the band members. They were allegedly those of Maurice Starr and his brother, Michael Johnson. The claim made headlines, especially since the Milli Vanilli scandal was still fresh in the public's memory. Two artists who had won a Grammy without actually singing, and the comparison was inevitable. Maurice denied the accusations, and New Kids even performed live on TV shows to try to prove their authenticity. They also filed a lawsuit against McPherson for defamation. The case was settled out of court, with no official ruling. Although the scandal didn't completely destroy the band's career, it fueled the narrative that the group was more of a studio creation than a genuine musical act, which damaged their reputation, especially among critics and part of the public. Another sensitive issue was Maurice Starr's obsessive control. He was more than just the producer and manager. He was the mastermind behind every step, note, and move the group made. Nothing happened without his approval, and his track record was already controversial. Years earlier, Maurice had been accused of money mismanagement and manipulation by New Edition, the group he himself had launched. When the New Edition boys discovered they were being paid crumbs while Maurice got rich, they cut ties with him and filed a lawsuit. The same pattern seemed to repeat with New Kids on the Block. Although no formal accusations were made publicly by the band members at the time, the tension behind the scenes was palpable. But perhaps the most delicate matter was how the media treated Jonathan Knight. Quiet, reserved, and with a personality very different from what fans expected from a teen idol. He became a constant target of rumors about his sexuality, something that in the 80s and 90s was still surrounded by prejudice and sensationalism. According to People, Jonathan later revealed that his manager pressured him to keep his sexuality a secret. He was told in no uncertain terms that if he came out as gay, they would all be done, because the fan base was predominantly female and it would shatter the fantasy. According to him, the manager conveniently placed other young gay men around him, allowing Jonathan to have a few secret encounters. All of it was about maintaining the group's image under strict control. This environment of constant repression had a direct impact on the singer's mental health. Jonathan suffered from severe anxiety, panic attacks, and a growing desire to walk away from it all. As he later shared, there were days he could barely leave his hotel room to fulfill the band's obligations. These controversies combined didn't just tarnish New Kids on the Block's public image, they poisoned the group's internal environment with seeds of doubt, exhaustion, and resentment. The house of cards, built on choreography and smiles, was beginning to collapse from within. But before the final downfall came the decision that would seal the group's fate, Jonathan's exit from the group. And with it, the fall was inevitable. A story I'll tell you in detail right now. The New Kids on the Block reached their peak in 1990 as they embarked on the grand Magic Summer Tour. But behind the success, something was quietly shifting within them. Danny Wood later revealed everything had gotten too big. We started out as kids, and we were drifting apart as we tried to figure out who we were outside the group. Each of us reacted differently to the madness of fame, but we all felt a deep disconnection between the five of us. As the NKOTB phenomenon grew and the money machine sped up, their lives seemed to shrink. Donnie Wahlberg confessed, "We were so famous that we had to hide in hotels just to have a moment of peace. It's hard to support each other when you're barely staying upright yourself. If we could go back in time, we'd have gotten closer instead of pulling away." In 1994, with declining sales and a radically changing music scene, marked by the rise of grunge and gangsta rap, it became clear that something had to change. Jonathan Knight's leaving during the Face the Music tour due to increasing panic attacks and anxiety was the breaking point. To protect the group's image and avoid exposing these personal struggles, management created a cover story that Jonathan had been injured in a horseback riding accident. But the truth eventually came out, shedding light on the emotional fragility and internal struggles the group was facing. Donnie Wahlberg recalled that after the tour, everyone wanted to move forward, but there was no consensus on how to do it. He emphasized that if they couldn't put the band above their differences, it was best to take a break. The decision was difficult and scary, but after a vote, they all agreed it was time. The breakup shook both the media and fans. The transition from sold-out arenas to small theaters, with some concerts even canceled due to low attendance, was painful. The Face the Music album sold just 138,000 copies by 2008, a stark contrast to the millions they had sold before. Each member went their own way, building separate lives. Jordan Knight and Joey McIntyre pursued solo careers and appeared on Broadway stages. Jonathan Knight discovered a new passion for home renovation, becoming the host of HGTV's Farmhouse Fixer, where he blends hands-on skills with a love for architecture and interior design. Donnie Wahlberg found success in films like The Sixth Sense and on TV shows like Blue Bloods. Danny Wood released several solo music projects and founded the charity Remember Betty in honor of his mother, who passed away from breast cancer. Even apart, their friendship remained strong. Donnie shared a powerful moment while filming in Morocco. "I was in a helicopter, looking out at this incredible landscape, and I could only think about the guys. I wish they were there with me. I got emotional remembering the good times and wishing we could share that again." That wish came true in 2008, when the group announced their long-awaited reunion. Donnie admitted he didn't just want to relive the past. "I wasn't interested in doing a purely nostalgic tour, just singing the old hits. But of course, the old songs will always be there." Jordan described the reunion as magical. The chemistry came back immediately. Now, with more maturity as fathers, husbands, and professionals, everything felt even better. Jordan emphasized the value of open communication. "Now we can talk about our fears, something we never did when we were young." The strength of that bond led back to the album The Block in 2008, followed by 10 in 2013, and more recently, the release of Still Kids in 2024, a record filled with joy, connection, and youthful energy. Danny said that even after all these years, they still feel like the same boys from the beginning, putting energy and passion into every show. Donnie added that once they reunited, he was certain they could relive the incredible moments that shaped their lives, and that's exactly what happened. For him, being able to share that once again with the others was nothing short of phenomenal. Did you enjoy learning about the story of New Kids on the Block? There are already videos on this channel about the journeys of other boy bands like Menudo and, more recently, Take That. If you want to watch them, I'll leave the links in the first pinned comment. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. I'll be back next week with another great story from the world of music.